Welcome to Culture of Paint. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at what's caught our eye over the last few weeks in the miniatures painting world. For our main segment, we're going to be looking at some of the iconic miniatures for characters in the Games Workshop universes over the last 30 odd years and the updates they've received, or not, in that time. And we'll close out the show, as usual, taking a look at what the hashtag Paint Cultists have been up to. Now let's talk about paint. Right, we're back in. I've muted the tab so I can't hear myself on some weird 2 minutes in the past echo thing or whatever the hell's going on. Is the chat in there? Chat's in there, lovely. America, Australia, UK. Fab.
That's nice.
Got everybody in, lovely. Hi everyone, I'm Henry. Joining me as usual are Andy, Matt and Rich. How are you chaps, you right?
All Gucci.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Yes, it's been another longish gap since the last show. It's not intentional, everyone. We will be back on our sort of regular program as soon as we're able to, as soon as life stops getting in the way. Christian's asking if Matt, you can please stop the GD counter for a bit.
No.
Is that how it works?
What are we on, Matt? Just out of curiosity. Where's the camera? Where's the counter?
8 days for US and then 45 for UK?
7 days for me.
7 days.
Like Craig David.
I wondered if you got to that point, Matt, where you sort of ascended to become, you know, some sort of minor deity, a golden demon, and can therefore actually affect how it, whether
Everyone just
when
needs
when
to get
or
one
where
of these. Just keeps you on track.
Someone told me to write a list of what I need to do the other day, and I was like, that sounds like the most depressing thing in the world.
So what's going on there, Matt? Are you considering yourself at home there or something, or is that a painting aid, or is it just cold in your house?
The what?
What's that?
Going with your old burgling gloves.
I got issues with my hands.
And so they're supportive ones, yeah?
Yeah, these are arthritis gloves.
Yeah, I've used them for quite a few years. They're on the one hand. If I've done a lot of airbrushing, I'll get it as well. But they're really fab. They're
my hands are
softer ones.
Severely messed up at the moment.
Been pushing too many pencils.
So use your whatever they're called. Use your painting aids if you've got them.
Paint with your feet.
Don't think your time is actually set to the last minute to submit. We can still paint in the hotel after 8 days. So there you go.
I can't. I don't have Wembley Stadium in my hotel.
It's like so I watch what's call it in a football, like United time or whatever. You get guaranteed like 10 minutes of extra time or whatever to play. Right, it's been a few weeks, which means there's been plenty to look at. So, what are the slides saying? Have I clicked on them? Yes, I have.
So, first up is
It's me.
Marenz.
Just as you know, I really like to push the boat out, and I have a lot of variety within the hobby that I enjoy. I have picked Space Marines.
Lovely.
It's the spice of life, mate.
It is the spice of life.
Minor of life.
And just to be really different, I've picked Alpha Legion again. I saw these, and it kind of feels like they have lately, but I didn't really see that this Mark of Heresy armor really got that much love when it came out. It was like a lot of people did it for Army, and I've seen a couple of people do some quite nice little individual ones, but I hadn't really seen many that I thought were really, really interesting. And this popped up on my feed. I've been off Instagram for a while, but I popped back on and saw these, and I just really liked it. I really liked the aesthetic. I really liked what they'd done in that the balance that they'd found between they look cool individually, but they look good as a squad. And I like the just subtle changes. So the little things on the chest, they've extended the torsos a bit, and they've used Primaris lids as the main lid for them.
I've not seen that
Mark
that
IV,
way
isn't it?
round.
It's
No,
Mark
that's
IV.
Primaris lids, isn't it?
No, there are a couple. They're Primaris lids
Yeah.
and beakies.
How interesting. I've not seen anybody do the swap.
Yeah, so I went for the modern one, and I like it. I thought it was really cool. I like the color scheme. I like how it's all very sort of two-tone and muted. I just saw it and went, oh, that's really cool. I really liked it. It made me want to kind of play with something like that, something quite quick but quite striking. So that was why it was my pick.
It's the
lovely.
like thing in the chest. Is that part of
Yeah,
the
what's
Alpha
the
Legion?
cog idea?
I don't know if you look at the miniatures before they're painted, they put up some like just build photos, and it does look like it's like a little metal nut from like a thing. And I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I just think it's a cool little addition, really, and it makes it look a bit different.
Interesting.
I like Grey Alpha Legion. It's very cool. Grey's the best.
Yeah. I thought so because it's supposed to. I assume that it's supposed to be. Within the Alpha Legion, they had like the sneaky Alpha Legion that were even sneaky.
Oh yeah, the S3E3.
I hate that BS. They're so sneaky. Oh, such good fluff.
So 9.5 foot tall, sneaky Space Marine. I love it.
Well, I think Mark 6 are little sleepers, aren't they? Little sleeper models.
They're great models.
Amazing minis. I could paint them all day.
Yes, I think if you're playing Blood Angels in 40k, then you're into a win. Super cool.
Yep, they're very cool. I just really liked it. The page that this individual runs as well has got quite a lot of cool bits and pieces on there as well. So it was a fun little. You see an Instagram page, and you just grab a little look and spend a bit of time looking at some of the different projects. It was.
That's great. I mean, it's one of the reasons we do the shout outs, right? Is to try and find new accounts to follow and things like that. As usual, the accounts we feature will stick links down in the description as well. If they're not already there, they will be in the next day or two, and if they're not, I'm sure you will let us know.
Already there.
So
got ahead of myself this time.
It's fab. Thanks, mate. Yeah, nice pick, Rich. Right, what's up next, bud? This one's me. So this is an account, Rue, who used to or still does work for GW, I'm not sure, but certainly had various ones of his projects featured on Warhammer Community. He did some really crazy looking Titanicus Knights a while back and stuff, but I am in love with this conversion. I'm 100% stealing it and doing it. I think it looks incredible. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. it's amazing. It's everything I want to paint right now. So yeah, that's
the Enforcer torso design's cool, isn't it?
But what a difference! Like I've never got on board with their lids. The Enforcers, it turned me right off them. I get the point of it, but I just never liked it to the point where it never made me look at them twice. And then just seeing, I mean, the new guard stuff I'm a big fan of anyway. I've really enjoyed playing with that, but just the difference sticking one of them in has made is
true.
Even if you ignore the multi-melter and just put those lids on Enforcer models, which is what I'm intending on doing.
I think I'm going to do that as well.
It's just super cool, right?
I've got 10 Enforcers that I painted, and none of them have lids because I didn't like the original lids.
Go, right?
Now that I've seen them, I was like, perfect. So
now this is an account I follow on Twitter. I don't know if they're on Instagram, just for what it's worth. But yeah, just got me.
What's it supposed to be, by the way? Is it a guardsman? Is it a marine? Or is it for Necromunda?
It's a neck. It's basically a Necromunda Enforcer.
So it was Enforcer. So it made Enforcer.
They're saying that maybe the multi-melter's just a bit of crowd control. Microwave gun.
Because it's one of the bulky, it's the bulky Enforcers that normally have the shields. That's what that body's from. It's not a regular Enforcer. It's one of the breachery ones.
It's got like the ram thing. Yeah,
I believe people call that chonky these days. I hear
chonky, thick with 2 C's.
Well, and they got the what you call it, didn't they? We saw the other day, or they're getting rather the Fifth Element robots.
Oh yeah, they're super cool.
Which is really
like
cool.
Those.
So yeah, exciting times. It's always exciting times to be a Necromunda fan, to be honest. You're always getting amazing miniatures. I very nearly picked the corpse thingy guild ones, but they're quite old. Nah, it's the sort of delve into it too deep, but you kind of you've got your gangs, and then they've kind of got their guild sponsors, right? So one of those guilds is the corpse guild, so they get all the bodies, mulch them up, turn them into paste, so everybody eats nom nom nom, lovely. And they do these little Forge will do these resin sets to represent that guild. So it's super unique miniatures that you wouldn't see ever, I don't think, in 40k. Not whether it's in Kill Team or whatever. Like really, really, almost RPG level sort of characters. But it just lets them do whatever the hell they want and go a bit mad with it. And there's a little squat with the plague doctor mask and things like that. It's just
that's cool.
It's very exciting. It's
I would love to get into Necromunda at some point. I love the aesthetic and the look of it all. And it was such a great. Seems like such a fun game to play. But it's just, I think, is it the sort of game you really have to like? Yeah, but you have to like. It's almost like D&D. You need like a group of like 5 people or whatever that are going to like, we're going to play this every week.
That's how we've done it in our group. We sort of have a weekend where we'll play X amount of games, and you might only do that handlers. But Incom Gaming, our regular venue we do our classes at up in Cheltenham, they run a Necromunda league. Norrie guy there, incredible like hobbyist and like community person. Like he DMs basically a Necromunda campaign, and it's like 20 plus people are in it. But like they all come to game night, and then he does like all the rolling for everybody for their advancements and things. So he films it all, so you find out what you get and all that.
That's cool.
But it rewards that level of commitment. But I would say outside of the 2 or 3 main games of theirs, it's probably the best supported game by GW, which always helps, I think, keep you excited, right? And keep you motivated.
I'd love to do something like that, because it's a sort of that level of detail and backstory and fluff that you put into it. I really like I love skirmish games. So Kill Team I adore, but I want something a bit more in depth than that, and something that you do regularly, and you create a narrative, and you get like a story going, and you have like a definitive goal, and basically watching lots.
It's all about the stories, mate. It's all about the stories. Like I can't remember games I've won and lost, but I can remember those moments of like my Juve shanking their gang leader and things like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it, and it's a nice different art style and different look at 40k. It does look at almost this. I mean, you can get civilian models for it even. It looks at that side of the background.
I love it.
Marines there,
which is exciting. No, there isn't. Although years ago, one of the last Heresy weekenders, they released a rule set, I think, where you could play a Marine in Necromunda, but it wasn't meant to be like a Marine in Necromunda. It was meant to be like representing a one Marine versus one Marine almost type thing. Cool. But it's it's good fun. It's good fun, and I think it particularly attracts, I think, hobbyists like this person who just they've got very, very creative minds, and they're not afraid to just make some out there models. So super cool. Right, what's up next, Matt?
Up next is my pick.
Perfection.
I just saw this pop up and I was just like, I love this. It's just so cool.
I mean, I thought I'd picked the best thing in our Paint Cultists thing later, and you might have won. You might have beaten me.
I do have the thing. So it's a box art for Aradia miniatures. Yeah, Aradia miniatures. Just so good. I love the eyes on it. It's very lifelike.
I think he did a resin pour on the lily pad as well. There's like a video, and I think he like pours resin on the top and lets it sit, so it's got like a
great
chunky gloss on it. Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's clever.
It's a very cool tiny frog.
Yeah,
in front of it.
It's massive. The model, I think.
Oh, is it?
It's pretty big.
Not a fist, but I think it's pretty chunky.
It reminds me of the face. Reminds me of the. You ever see that film Evolution?
Oh yeah, terrible.
with the dog kind of thing. It kind of has that look to it.
2 out of 10 movie.
Or like,
it's such a good movie.
No, it's 2 out of 10.
What was it? The thing on one that's set on Mars, where the guy can leap through the air. There was a 9-footed dog on that. And it looks just like it.
Oh yeah, the cowboy Western person.
Yeah.
Sucked to Mars for some reason. John something? I can't remember.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Someone in the chat, help me out. That shite film with Scott, fucking, what's his name in it?
It's
a
a
lot of
that is a terrible movie, but Evolution's good.
Yeah. Evolution is good. I've seen this movie before. The black dude dies first.
Yeah.
What's this movie called? Evolution.
Yeah. It's one of those like trash 2000s thing that
Do not watch it. Don't waste your time.
Mate, that can go on while I'm slogging through this current project. That's for anything.
It's even worse than the new Top Gun, though.
The monotony up. Tom in the chat. Nice to see you here. First time live.
John Carter of Mars.
Oh, right, there we are.
Awful
Tom
film.
Hughes, you are a gentleman. Thank you. That was going to drive me fucking mad.
So what's the deal with this? Is it a one-off release? Is it part of a range?
It's part of
Kickstarter,
Kickstarter, I think.
Right.
Cute Animals Kickstarter.
I'd seen someone.
Yeah.
The reason I asked is I'd seen one fairly recently. I think Christmas time, and it was like a scientific model of a frog. It was very, it was beautifully cast and all the rest of it, but it was like properly anatomically everything about it was spot on, kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
And somebody, a painter I follow anyway on one of the social media accounts, just painted it up. But it was really cool, like to see it, a bit of a crossover. It was almost like it was something you could pick up at the Natural History Museum, and this person had, but it wasn't like a plastic dinosaur that they'd repainted. Like it was meant to be painted or at least looked at as a perfect facsimile type thing.
Yeah.
Just to note, so this is limited, and once it's sold, it's sold. This specific one.
So go out and buy the Forg, because it's incredible.
Nice.
Speaking of incredible, I got my mini the other day from Nordlys, the
Oh yeah.
Carousel one. Yeah. So thanks very much to those guys for sorting that out. Packages old school. Oh, plenty of Necromunda chat going on. Right, leave them to it. Right, finally, who's the last? What's the last slide? Who have we had 4? I don't know.
It's me. Oh, this is mega, isn't it? Not much more to say. Love it. I bet you did it in a week as well.
Yeah, probably.
If that.
Who sculpted it?
It's some relative. I've never heard them before, but I did look up the name. But there's a couple guys. It says on the Hera Kickstarter. This is a Kickstarter right now if you want to check it out for Trudfang IP. And I think Eric absolutely
it's the
smashed
Trudfang stuff, because it had like themes of Albert's dwarf.
Well, it's the same. It's the same art.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's not copied from Albert. It's Albert wanted a Trudfang mini, and this is a Trudfang Kickstarter. But yeah, I just thought this paint job was absolutely mega, and I don't even want to know how long it took him, because it will make me sad.
I still reckon he did it in a week.
Oh yeah, but it might be 4 days or something.
Yeah, but yeah, he'll have done it in like
13
or 14-hour shifts. slept for 4 hours, got up, done 13, 14 more hours, and then slept for 4 hours again.
Too quick, that boy.
That rusty sword is so cool.
Also, I double dipped this week because I saw something today that needed. That's
to be right. Seen. It's been a month.
There you go.
I've got about 1,000 paint qualities at the end, so.
I saw this today and I was like, yeah, that's mega. Needs a little show from Liam.
Very cool.
Yeah, fantastic job.
Really like this mini.
It's a great mini, and it's nice to see a proper paint job on it, I think.
Like to do another one. Really enjoyed it.
It's very cool. Very cool.
Very good.
Yeah, smashed it.
Right. Any memes? There's been a ton of memes sent in, and I just want to say again, thank you, but please can we try and keep them painting related? I've really enjoyed it.
I didn't put a meme on because there wasn't one in the chat.
That's fine. And I would
need to get better at the memes.
I would say at least 50% of them are not suitable.
I was going to say all the ones we share, Rick, are not suitable for work.
I don't know.
But yeah.
We'll get cancelled.
Keep sending them in. I don't think you get cancelled. You just don't get any ad revenue money, and I don't think we put any ads on culture shows anyway, so it doesn't matter. we'd be screwed anyway, because between me and Rich, I think there's a fuck every 30 seconds, isn't there, on the...
Correct.
You can do it. You can now do it within the first 30 seconds of a YouTube video. You're fine.
As long as it's not within the first 30.
As long as it's not within the first 8.
8 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, we're fine. Right, but anyway, as sure as you lot want to listen to the new YouTube advertising policies, what is the main topic? It is a different one to what we were planning, but one we have wanted to do for quite a while. So, classic, iconic characters from the Games Workshop universe, or gaming universes anyway, that have finally got their updates. And due to the every single time decades between the two releases, it's been quite significant. And we've had a lot of it in the last few years, so we thought we'd do a show about it and pick a few of our favourites. And it seemed particularly pertinent with Farsight and Snickrock coming out, and Azrael, of course, out now, I think.
3 in a month, isn't it? 3
glow it's
in a
big,
month.
Isn't it? Three
iconic,
significant characters in a month getting it. So, what we got? What we're going to chat about? Let's chat about some cool old models that are. We thought we could play a bit of a game as well, where you have to guess whether the original incarnation of the character is older than Matt or younger than Matt.
Yeah.
Not that much younger.
Starting off with the Dark Master, Be'lakor.
Both are amazing.
Really grown on me, this new Be'lakor mini. I don't know if I said it because we featured it quite heavily, didn't we, in a show when it came out? Can't remember why. But I was very nonplussed with it at the time, and I think in a way it's because compared to the other ones that came out around the time, like Croak and Kragnos and things like that, he was just a very faithful update of the original model. But the more I see him, the more I appreciate him. And now I've seen him on a few gaming tables as well. He's an amazing, amazing centerpiece. It's perfect size, I think. He's not like what's his name? He's not Archaon huge.
No.
You know, but he's still the coolest big model that you'll see in, you know, a lot of games. So yeah, what do you guys reckon?
Hasn't skipped like
sorry, incidentally, 17 years between releases, these two. I did my homework. Wasn't it?
Very good.
Nice. Juan Diaz, the original sculptor, and Darren Latham, the new sculptor, that they were part of the team that did it or whatever.
Yeah.
They were somehow involved. I never really liked. I know, not really liked the original one. Never really did it for me, to be honest. But again, that was a bit before my time, I think. When was the original? So 2006,
Storm of Chaos.
Would have been. Was that before the Ioterra campaign?
I was busy
after
doing other things recreationally at that time, so I can't tell you exactly. But
recreational fun. Here's a fun fact: I did Be'lakor as a corn demon. Which,
classic.
Could you imagine me doing that now?
Classic. But he was like when I came back in, what would it have been, 2010-ish, I think, something like that, maybe a little bit earlier. So he was still relatively new even at that time, and he was an amazing mini at that time. He was a lot more detailed in a way. Not as in he had loads of details on him, but at the time he was much crisper looking, much more defined than a lot of the other miniatures that size were of that time.
I think it was the posing and anatomy, and it was actually kind of scary looking when some of the demons just looked dorky and not scary. It was like, oh, this is actually cool.
Yeah, he did. You're right. And he looked very different, didn't he? The metal demons at this time were very different to the ones we have now in plastic.
It's better looking than the Bloodthirster, like at the time for sure.
I mean, those were the really old metals, weren't they? At that time, they would have still been. Yeah. Wow.
I like the new one's really cool. I like the fact that you can do it with either the Space Miner, on the bottom, or is it a Stormcaster? The other option, Or is it some AOS? Basically,
Must be a Stormcast.
Would have thought.
Must be.
The only thing I don't like is the chains and the skulls on the wings.
So what is it? Because I've heard quite a few people pick that detail as something that they would rather leave off their version. What is it about it? Because it's a very, very faithful update of that original model. Every time I see it, it gets cooler, this model.
I get that. And I get that the original had it and they put it on there as the homage to that. But I don't know. I don't think, because, not to rag on GW's wings very much, but I often don't really enjoy the wings that they put on some of their models. But I actually, without the skulls and stuff on this, I think they look really good. They're kind of like an appropriate size to the rest of him. They're not incredibly muscular or over the top in size. I just think the chains and skulls just aren't really necessary. And also, if he flapped, it wouldn't work. Just smash himself in the face with chains and skulls.
Okay, that's fair. I'm trying to make sense of a fantasy miniatures offer madness there, right?
And apparently the alternative is Warrior. He's not friends with Archaon in the lore.
Oh yeah, of course not. Him and Archaon are big frenemies.
Yeah.
We're going to tell Ben we want more AM. What's an AM video?
Astra Militarum.
Of course. Yeah. There's more guard coming from Ben soon, actually.
I think he means Imperial Guard.
But I was just talking to Ben about this model earlier. But yeah, super cool. Very, very faithful update. But I think, I know even though he's massive compared to the original one, it wasn't a shock update, if that makes sense. Like, it was just like,
it's too small, the original.
Be'lakor now fits with the rest of the range. Great. That was sort of what it was from this. I appreciate him a lot more now, and I am looking forward to adding him to the army. So yeah,
the original would have been that small because I think the original was metal, wasn't it? Before they made it into fine cast.
Oh yeah.
And it's just there's no way you're making it that any bigger in metal.
Well, the only way you make him bigger is you have to give him the plastic dragon wings that we had at the time, which every dragon had.
The Greater Demons had metal wings.
Yeah, I know. They literally never survived more than 10 seconds of It was a good way of forcing people to learn pinning.
God, drilling into lead.
Into lead, yeah. Well, it was white metal, wasn't it, by then? But yeah. It is still a cool old mini though, and I think Andy, you're right. I think that was the biggest thing about him, was how different he looked at the time, and I think maybe that's perhaps what the new Be'lakor didn't have, in that he doesn't look that different to a lot of it. But that's a good thing, right? That's the it's deliberate type thing. So yeah, super cool. Right, I think we've got quite a few to get through. So keep smashing them out. So Be'lakor is here we go.
Real
top 3 books GW has ever produced. In 1996, we saw original Azrael Supreme Grandmaster of the Dark Angels.
Was it 96?
Which makes this glow up 27 years old.
Holy shit.
There is only one older one in our set, so you'll have to see what that is. See if you can guess what that is when we get there. Whew. A lot of pressure on models like this. Lot of pressure. Don't get me wrong, Be'lakor was rad and everything, but we didn't really see him. He didn't turn up till the noughties. Whereas Azrael was there from the red period. That Azrael miniature there has been repainted and rebased that many times by the heavy metal team. And I don't.
There's been new versions.
Don't think that photo is actual size comparison.
No,
it's probably not a million miles off.
I don't know. It might be close-ish. They added the banner, didn't they? Much later, the original one didn't have the sculpted banner.
Yeah, it was the old paper banners in the back of the book, which is sat just over there. Codex Angels of Death.
Here's a question for you all, because I can't put my finger on it, but the new one is fine, but it doesn't excite me, and I don't know why. If anyone's got any thoughts on that.
Probably the first time you saw the original one, you were in a very different mindset. what was a cool new model back then? That would have been kind of groundbreaking. Holy shit! Look how different and exciting in the pose. And I think we get a little bit spoiled these days when it comes to miniatures that GW are releasing, especially with the frequency of them as well. Like if you go back 10, 15 years and what we would get and how often we get, and that's only 10, 15 years. This thing's 27 years old. If you went back 10, 15 years, we would get what? I don't know, 4 or 5 really big, like notable releases in the year. It was trickle fed, but now there's so much coming. We just forget about stuff. Like I always go back to it because it's the thing that was surprising the most. The Orc release for the regular boys and that box, the getting started box that they did, just dropped one day and no one said anything about it. It's like one of the most iconic ranges, one of the most iconic sets they've ever done. Just incredible models, brand new, looks amazing, and it just was like, oh cool, that's new. And there's a new demon or a new Primarch, and it's just too much noise.
Yeah, he's definitely, and you can see it in the chat actually. This Azrael seems to have split opinion. I don't know whether to answer your question, Andy, whether it's because it is a very, very faithful update, like as in the details are almost just exactly lifted, right? So you've basically seen it for 27 years.
So it's not exciting. You're like, oh yeah, that's a new Azrael.
Yeah, and so you can admire it and go, okay, great. Like that's nice to have him as a bigger model now. I think there's also, and this is coming from someone who's doing some marine projects at the minute, there's still quite a large disconnect for people with Space Marine fans and Primaris Space Marine fans. So yeah, you're right. Objectively, I think it's a great mini. It's a super cool character mini. But do you remember that lad who came out a few years ago when we first got the Dark Angels in the new edition? I can't think what he was called now. Lazarus, that's it. I would say he's as good in a sense of it's well done. It's a Dark Angel. It's cool mini. It's Crook of the Helm, all of that.
My theory on it, I prefer the new one. Just I just think the scale and size of it is bang on. I love the fact that they've kept it so much like the old one. I love the fact there's a bit like the movement in the flag's cool. The only thing that I don't like about it is his facial expression. In the old one, I like that emotive. He's like giving it some.
It's very neutral.
I don't.
Yeah, but
don't know if that storyline though. Because I was reading the Vashtor book, and I'm not super up to date with the 40k timeline, but something happened to Azrael at the end of the normal timeline that we had for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he got really beat up. And then he's been primaricized. Yeah. And in the Vashtor book, he's quite weak. He's quite sort of he's not on top form.
Right.
So I don't know if there's, because that face looks like it's got some scarring and things on it. So I don't know if there's a deliberate choice there to make him a bit more stoic, a bit more thoughtful like that. I did just
see in the group chat that someone said he's got a popped collar and it's now you can't see it. You can't unsee it once you've seen it. It's like, that's so true. He's got his collar.
I like that element. I think the facial expression would change a lot. I think you've nailed that. That's what I asked, and I think if he was a bit more angry, I would enjoy it a lot more.
Have you seen the version where it's got the helmet on?
Love that. Because I love the fact that they've kept the old Mark lid because it's such an iconic helmet. I love the fact that I was worried, not that I knew it was coming, I would have been worried that they would have done the Primaris lid and given the Primaris lid the wings like they did with the other guy he's holding it under his arm. So I'm really glad that they did that.
It's someone in the chat saying, is it this whole thing of one is a traditional sculpt and one is a digital sculpt, and we're still in this phase where an awful lot of digital sculpts seem to just have too maybe clinical an edge to them.
But I like that though.
Yeah, I like that. I want it to be perfect. I think it's the facial expression. I think he looks bored, so I'm bored.
I think so, yeah. And I don't understand why he'd be doing that with his sword, being like raising it in battle just to be like, he's not like, who's raising it being like, it just
Like, oh, this shit again.
We've started off well of our like favourite glow up miniatures with these two, haven't we? That we're not not exactly.
The kit is incredible though. The kit is unbelievable. You can put, the fact that you can have the helmet on, and then obviously you're like, well, you want the little dude, and then you replace it with him carrying the scabbard. That is genius design.
Yeah.
So amazing kit. That's what you always dream of. Oh, I wish you did an option where you had the helmet on. Oh, I wish you did this. So can't knock the kit. It's brilliant. So it's one of those.
I think I like the 360. Like when I saw it on because I think when we see it all the way around, it'll be a bit different. I just don't think the front on photo does it quite the justice it needs.
I started building it and realised I don't have time because I've got to paint for next week. But I think.
Oh, Andy, you there?
If we were like, oh, it looks nothing like the original, we'd be pissed off. Have I gone?
It can't go in and out.
Am I not there? Yeah, you guys are doing that to me, so it's probably my internet. So when you're chatting, I might switch my Wi-Fi. But I'll try and talk. But yeah, it's one of those things I think where if it was totally different, we're like, oh, it's nothing like the original. And it's so like the original, we're like, oh, it's too much like the original. It's kind of a, it's what he's supposed to do. Really.
I mean, I love the new one.
I think if I painted it, I'd like it.
I think I like to see someone else paint it. I'm not a massive fan of the robes and the way that they're painted. I would think I like more texture and a bit more colour in the robes. But I love the new one. I think it's way better than the original.
Oh yeah, me too.
Right. Well, next, who've we got?
Space Vamp himself.
Another from the classic Incredible Angels of Death Codex that I'm really sad we didn't get this time round. So Mephi, not quite as old, even though he's come out at the same time. Only 23 years old. The gap between these two. I think as well, did he come out before the Marnius Calgar model or after it?
I want to say after, but could be wrong.
Right, but certainly he was one of the first like old characters we saw who got Primarist. I mean, we were. I remember we were teaching a class, I think, when this model came out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, look at this mini, so cool!" And of course, based off that amazing Mark Gibbons piece of artwork as well. Yeah, loved the original, loved the new one. Amazing.
I think it's pretty spot on, and I think going back to Azrael, like this is different enough, right? With the cloak, and it adds that extra dynamic. Yeah.
I think not only is it very different to the original, but it's also based off that original art, which was iconic. So you're getting the nostalgia element of it, and the exciting new thing. I'm trying to think, off the top of my head, I think the Azrael artwork was quite faithful to the model. But yeah. Anyway, we're on Mephiston now, not Azrael. Also, I think you've painted this guy, haven't you, Andy?
No, but I was very, very pleased with my conversion, which was the Chaos Sorcerer hand. So he's just doing that.
Yeah.
And I think the plasma pistol was a bit like straight for me, just like I'm shooting you. But yeah, I just changed the hand, and I was really happy with that.
Someone put in the chat,
Oh,
the smell
no.
my finger pose is a vibe.
Yeah. Yes. Another gift to the meme community, wasn't he?
Yeah, smell my finger.
I do prefer the smell my finger pose over the plasma pistol one though.
I do as well, actually.
Got to
It's
applaud
'cause-
them giving options though.
Well, yeah, you're right.
That's true.
I'm trying to think back. Did this 2019 this guy came out? So he
BC.
missed out on Golden Demons, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think
just
whether
out,
he came
but
out.
Probably not enough time to actually do it.
And then obviously we had 2020 and so forth. So I wonder if he'd have been a contender for some pretty incredible entries.
Maybe.
Someone's saying the leather gloves are a bit odd. I love leather gloves on Space Marine librarians. I don't know what
It's
is.
OG though.
Just think it's super cool on the librarians. I think it makes them all like, weirdy, fantastical.
So they don't ruin the books, innit?
So
Down the
good.
page.
In the far future where, they have all this high tech, armor and everything, they still need to skin and hide a cow to make some gloves.
Yeah, but it's a space cow, mate. So grox, isn't it? It's loads of it. Maybe not. Maybe it's vegan leather. Space, vegan space leather.
Or rubber. He's into his BDSM.
There you go. But this is very much a universal 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't change
9.
anything.
9.
I'm gonna be really controversial. I really don't like this model.
Oh right, well off you go then.
So
I've got stuff too.
I prefer the original. Now, I prefer the original because the original, it sits in that time frame of Marines are not jokey, but they've got it's back when I see 40k, there was like humor to it. There was like, it wasn't grim dark then. It was very bright and, very 80s. Everyone had like a fringe and a mullet and that kind of stuff. And for me, the way that they've brought that through, I like how they've stayed true to the original, but bringing through his big, evil, bad guy cowl. So he looks like a vampire, like a legit, actual, like 80s vampire. I hate it.
It's to contain the warp.
So
he's doing his space lightning.
Stylistically, it's 290s for you in your modern Primaris world.
In my modern grim dark Space Marine should be scary. It looks like he should be in like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Gotcha. Oh, by the way, it's Primaris cows apparently, to make the bigger gloves, obviously.
Oh yeah,
past the Rubicon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in Rich's dead, boring, sterile modern world, this miniature is far too interesting. To be good. Okay. Fair enough. I think that's a completely fair point. My counter to it is, I think 40k is at its best and strongest when it's clearly a fantasy in space thing, not
I agree.
a sci-fi setting. And I think seeing Space Marines as knights, with the leather belts and the swords, that whole thing of why on earth have these people got like swords? Like, like when there's spaceships the size of cities, and always why have they got swords and things like that? And I think it's that thing that makes 40k such an endearing or interesting setting. Is that it's a space fantasy thing, not a thing. Fair. Tell you what hasn't helped though with what you're saying is the yellow
tubes.
That's very of the 90s style.
That was a mistake.
It's a little incongruous, I think, on that.
They have a mold line right down the middle of them, and it's impossible to get rid of.
Let's not talk about mold.
I get what you see. That's it. Gary Oldman's Dracula. That's the fucker that he looks like. I get exactly what you mean, but I think for me, I do prefer that the way that it leans actual like dark sci-fi kind of vibe, not fantasy and space. So things really like Tau battle suits, modern like premise big Marines that are just all completely plain. I don't like it when Marines have got loads of chintzy stuff all over their armor and the belts and stuff. And for me, it's not. But that's the thing. I like the fact that you both look at it in two different people look at it in two very different ways.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's not trying to say one's better than the other.
No, absolutely not.
But it's you are spot on in that this does feel a lot like a 90s model dropped into a modern army.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cool.
It's one of the best Primaris.
Did you have something you wanted to say on this one, Andy, that you didn't like, or was that for one that's coming later?
Oh, you said 10 out of 10, and I said I'm going to say 8 because of the hair and the gun arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
we're out of 10 in them now as well. So that would be a good one.
I out of 10 everything.
Something
Everything's out of 10.
Literally everything.
What did Azrael get them? People love that
9.
videos. We should put that in the title. That'll get some more views.
I'm gonna go 8 for Azrael. 8 for.
You think Mephiston's as good as Azrael? Azrael's as good as Mephiston?
I think I prefer.
You're crazy,
Mephiston.
man. You're so full of shit.
No, I think Mephiston was a better glow up because the Azrael's very similar to the other one, but
there we go. That's the better way of ranking it then. Not the mini 8 out of 10, the glow up itself.
Yes.
So Azrael gets an 8, Mephiston gets a
1.
8.5.
8.5. Brilliant. We're into half points already. Right.
Oh, sorry, 9. 9. Can I have a bloody 9?
Put the next slide up, Matt. We'll be here all night.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Now we're getting in the 10s.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is this the best Space Marine model?
No, but it's part of the best meme. Him and Gilliman playing tennis.
I love his a bad on, a bad off, his little switch on the back.
Yes. This was no, it can't be pre-Primaris because he's got a Primaris head on him. But this was part of the Vigilus campaign, I think, wasn't it? So, but I should say, so age-wise, he's another one coming in at 23. So a big old time that we saw. I mean, with some of the miniatures we're going to feature, there have been certain alternate versions of them, but often those will have either been niche sort of limited releases or say a Forge World release. So we did have Abaddon in 30k, obviously that miniature, and there was a lot of Echo things there. But for the sake of this, it's irrelevant.
8 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
As a glow up.
8 out of 10, yeah.
So what? Okay, so in the style of Great British Menu, where do you think you've dropped them 2 points then?
I'll give you 2 things for the 2 points. So trophy racks needs to be 2 rows.
Should have been the 2 rows. Yeah, agreed.
And the old top knot design where it's taller with the skull.
So he's got more of a
top knot.
More of the wrap.
Yeah. And that's why I converted mine.
I like it with less top knot.
Well, you've got a bunch of faces for this guy. I think you've got three head options, if I remember.
Oh, they're really good as well.
Yeah.
Again, for how the kit goes together, this is a great kit as well. I heavily converted mine when I got it, and it's one of the favourite things I've done in years. And
Same
I was
for me actually
pinching some bits, or thinking of pinching some bits from him for that recent Horus conversion I did as well. It's I think he's in and of himself. I think he's absolutely fucking brilliant. Like I think he's if you get someone who's like, oh, so what's 40k all about? And you're like, well, this guy wants to kill everybody.
Yeah, he's
and
great.
You stick him down, they're like, he's a baddie, isn't he? And you're like, he's a bad one indeed. Like he is the one, the Mr. Meanie. Love it.
I believe that Seb Herbert sculpted him, and he's only sculpted 2 40k models, from my knowledge.
Did he do Gilliman as well? Yeah.
I believe that's the only 2 he's ever done for 40k. Might be wrong, but I was told that. And bloody good job.
It could make sense because they go together very nice as a little vignette, don't they? Yeah.
He's much better than Gulliman, though, isn't he?
For my taste, yeah, but a bit biased.
Yeah. When I first saw the model, I was like, okay, that looks really cool. Then I saw how big he was, and I was like, oh, as someone who is genuinely obsessed with how big Marines are compared to just about everything else that there is and that GW produce, I can't help it. I'm obsessed with it.
But you don't like large scale.
No, don't like large scale. But in my head, that how big he is, holding basically a Chaos Space Marine Terminator that's that big was just perfect. Yeah. I love, like he said, but people you can add options, so you can, if you think you can trim it down, you can take the cloak off, you can even take the trophy rack off.
Yes.
The different faces. I just think he's literally, he's perfect, and he's doing the most metal hand pose with the most metal hand to ever metal.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's exactly the same as the artwork for the 13th Crusade book, where he's crushing the Cadia in his
that's such a great iconic bit of art, that, isn't it?
Yeah. And absolutely. For me, that's exactly what I saw. Obviously, he hasn't got the globe there, but I kind of saw it just lifted from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sword itself, that's a few people in the chat are mentioning what an amazing glow up the sword got. Yeah, I mean, the sword is a character in and of itself, isn't it? Dracnian.
Dracnian, is that what you said?
End of Empires. What's the other one? The first murder or whatever it was. Yeah, awesome. And it's normal, like it's just a hand with a sword that you can stick on whatever you want. There's nothing silly about it, so you can use that on all sorts of conversions if you want.
I love him without the front chest plate glued on, where you just get like the inner bit of armor, and he's like, meh.
Earthworm Jim or whatever he is as well,
and the shoulder pad suspension as well.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, that's worth mentioning as well. Like he was the first one I put together that felt like a real jump in their design.
It's unreal, actually.
Not philosophy, but you know what I mean. Like how he went together was so unlike a mini I'd had from them before.
Yeah. I think also around that, like on that point, the way that the cloak works on it, like normally if there's a cloak on something, the detail behind it isn't there, and everything's sloped so that the cloak will sit there better. But the fact they've designed it so that the cloak just goes blink, or you just go, actually, I don't want to use that. That's
a really good point. Like that's something we were discussing recently about how it feels in Games Workshop at the moment. Like actually, there is I would say a gulf in quality, but there's definitely a change in quality across different sculpts. And I think one of the ones where that shows is where you have a miniature, just like you're saying, Rich, where the detail and stuff's done and the cloak's done over it, and then you have other ones where it's just flat.
Yeah,
under it. It's like it's interesting.
Well, it's who sculpts it makes a massive difference, even though they've obviously they're part of a team, but the individual that gets it. I mean, Seb's the head is in lead of AOS, and he's just he's a legend. All the stuff he does. So if he's doing it, or if someone's new to the team, there's going to be a difference, right? Even if you got management and all that stuff, and this is one where it's like, absolutely smashed it.
So Sasha's saying he needs some leather gloves. Not necessarily disagreeing with that.
You could paint them leather. The other hand, couldn't you?
And Tetra making a really good point. Like it's a heavy metal pose. Like that's an album cover. Like it's the
front one.
Good base as well. Good base.
So you got 8 out of 10 as usual. Sense in the theme.
Nah, 9. I'll give you a 9. A half a point for the trophy rack. That's it. Yeah, 1 point for the trophy rack. 9 out of 10.
I'm going 10.
I think that's fair. What did you give Bellicor, by the way?
As a glow up score.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think as a glow up, I rate him higher than as 10. A miniature. Yeah. How strange. There we go. Right. Next. We lost Matt. He's here. Oh, here we go.
The Avatar.
Part of an absolutely stonking glow up of a range last year. the avatar of Cain. I was in prep for the show. I was reading the community article Jez Goodwin did about him. Really, yeah. With regards to iconic characters, like this Avatar's got to be like top 5, right?
Yeah.
It's just it is Warhammer 40k. Like it's a big, terrifying, made of lava elf god thing. Very, very cool. Not mad on the flames.
I love the idea.
Not going to lie.
No.
And actually, I think the spear is probably the spear and the crest that sort of goes a bit like a Dire Avenger crest. I think that's my favourite build of him. But
I've got a controversial opinion about it.
Huge choices on this kit. Very, very unexpected. But again, all very cool. They delved into the lore. They were like, the weapon can take different forms, blah, blah, blah. We've done it as a spear in the past. I mean, the first ever Avatar model before the lad on the left actually was a little one that was very, very big because it was in Epic. So it was a 28mm sized model, but it was for an 8mm game or whatever. So look, very, very different. But how old do you reckon this one is? Is this glow up younger or older than Matt?
Older. It's 94. No, 94.
93. 29 years.
I'm still
close.
I mean, obviously, I might be a year or two out with some of these, but I really don't give a fuck. They're quite old. So this is the oldest one on the list, as far as I can tell. Madness, right?
Like, that is old.
Like what? Like, yes,
they were
you
still
got the
selling it as well.
Update. That's what gets me, right? Like, there's got to be I don't want to be horrible, but there's got to be an element, right, of pride where, surely, like, you must have pride in your range to not have a miniature that looks so out of place in it. And I don't know whether that's wrong to say, but should we have waited this long for a new mini for? I don't know.
Well, the Forge-rolled one was amazing, and I'm going to have to say that I prefer the Forge-rolled one to the plastic one.
Which one, the spear one or the sword one?
Both I prefer to the new plastic one, but not the quality.
Yeah. I liked the walking sword one.
I've got both. I put them side by side, and I prefer the resin one for a few reasons, but the quality of the plastic one's obviously tons better. So for ease of life, the plastic one's nice, but I prefer the design on the resin one. There's stuff like how the hair like flows into the back, not like a separate plonk-on bit. And I think the pose is better, and it's got no plastic flame sticking out the knees. So little thing. It's amazing, this model, but I put them side by side, and I think it's Juan Diaz again, isn't it? So
I don't know, actually.
Thing that I find strange, because go back to your point about how long we've waited for it, is the disparity between, so for instance, this happened, but then you think of like Gazgul. We had 4 iterations of Gazgul, or 3 or whatever it was, in the time that we had one of this one. Is that correct?
It's been 4 avatars,
but not including Forge World ones.
I was going to say, if you take the 2 Forge World ones out, there wasn't anything between these two.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas there was 3 Gazes in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not like a negative point. It's just curious. I
agree. I completely agree, Rich. I think there should have been an avatar around the time Gaz got his big metal version.
Yeah, I'd just be really interested to find out what the reasoning behind that was. And maybe Gaz has always been way more popular, and they've sold tons more of them than they had the Avatar. Yeah. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case or not.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I mean, as we've proved with Gaz, right, you can still have an amazing model. There was still enough time between for him to have another amazing model.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just really looking back at the stuff and looking through the characters that have got these updates and stuff. It just really surprised me to have such an iconic piece. Because I would consider him far more iconic than Azrael or what you call him, Mephiston. Really surprised me.
I do wonder.
Another very metal out.
I do wonder sometimes if like all these miniatures that we want, models that are already done and massive glow ups for years, have been done for years, and then you just have the marketing team with like a wheel of fortune, and then they just spin it and they go, oh, not yet.
Yeah, hold.
Well, they've got a D20 and each number relates to an actual character model, and they just fucking roll it.
Yeah, and they roll like a D6 instead of the D20.
But as a glow up, as it were, what are we liking? What we not? What we giving it?
Or 6 from me, I think.
Is that it?
Mm.
As a glow up from the models, I'd give it a good 8 or so.
So where's it losing them couple of points? What's putting it for you? What's putting it into that 10 bracket?
It's literally the flames.
Yeah.
If it didn't have the flames, I'd put it at 10. Because I love the pose. I love how mean it is, how much bigger it is. I prefer it, I think, to the Forge World one. Because I love the options that you get. I love the fact you can take it with the spear, and it's got the head options, that kind of thing. And it's new plastic, so it's going to be a lot easier and better to paint, I think.
Has anyone built it?
Yeah, I've built 2.
Can you leave the flames off?
No, it's very difficult to cut off. I have converted it flameless, but you have to resculpt the legs, and you have to resculpt the foot. If you look at the picture, the flames.
Yeah, the leg flames I could live with. It's the foot and base flame, and base obviously is easy to get rid of, but they do seem a touch. Not necessarily in keeping with the rest of the sculpt, you know.
The painting helps, so because obviously there's no OSL on this, which is weird because it's fire. But if you like Sergio Calvo's, obviously painted it really atmospheric. Actually, his paint job really makes me like the model a lot more. But yeah, I think that helps a lot if you've got the flame integration, because obviously it's just a line, which is fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I did actually cut the flames off, and it kind of looks weird without it, to be honest. It's difficult.
Okay, so we're glad it happened. Rich is a huge fan. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 as a glow up, but as a model, certainly this version, I'm not crazy about it.
Okay.
It's just a pose for me. I think I like the walking forward pose that the Forge ones had. They seem more purposeful. Both the spear version was amazing, and the one just walking forward. Yeah, I just think just a slight tweak in pose, and I'd like it a lot more.
Less just heroic stances, more actually action.
Yeah, I think so, because like that artwork of him attacking, I think a Greater Demonless Slanesh is amazing, and he's smashing down the sword. So yeah, just a little more dynamic pose, and I'd be much happier. But it's a quality kit, really good kit. Just pose doesn't quite do it for me.
Nice. We've got more people joining us. Lovely. Nobody likes sculpted flames, but nobody minds the sculpted blood. I mean, sculpted effects in general is a topic to discuss. It's just part of the landscape now for a Games Workshop anyway, and very often they will trend set for wargaming miniatures. So yeah, maybe we'll have a little bit of a chat. Won't be very long. Right, what's next, Matt?
Ooh.
Help if you put your slides on, Henry. Oh, interesting one. So these are moving on to some slightly younger or shorter gaps, shall we say, between characters and their glow, but quite a significant one. You know, an interesting character that was introduced relatively late on, but actually a major character in the AOS Slanesh sort of story. So yeah, and not often we get an heavy metal paint job, is it?
True.
They kind of save it for Sigvald, because I think Joe Tomaszewski did the original, and then Aidan did the new one. I like to shout out the painters' names if we know them, since they are no longer allowed to say or something like that. Yeah.
So you lost your mind. when this came out. I remember
Yeah.
you were, I'm doing this for GD. I'm going to do this.
I painted it.
Incredible. This is the best thing I've ever seen. Now, admittedly,
And I
that
painted
quite a lot, but you did love this one, right? So
And I did paint it.
was
yes.
it because it's basically a 54mm model of loads of
Yes.
gold M&M? You like the cloak as well, right? Is that right?
Because the cloak's up, it gives a background without a background, right? It's such a good framing tool, and it's quite an original idea. And how it flows with the hair, that's just brilliant. They've not done that on a mini before, and that's much more exciting than a hanging down cloak. But yeah, it's just super, super cool. I think it's brilliant.
Completely agree. This range was, I think, pretty special when it came out. If you don't like the aesthetic, I don't think you were going to like it. But if you could get on board with the aesthetic, I think the quality and the imagination and the execution of the Slanesh update was pretty special. And I think for a character to stand out within that, you've obviously got Glutos, very different, take on XS to Lucius the Eternal here. So yeah, pretty cool.
I'm going to be controversial then and say that I like the old one better.
Well, it's quite different, right? It's quite a different situation with this glow up in that he's sort of crossed the version of the Rubicon thing here, right? Yeah. He's a demon prince now. He's got whopping great horns.
True. I really like the old one. I like how it's a bit more understated. The new one is just the polar opposite to everything that I like. It's just really chintzy, loads of details, really like fluffy, fancy. What's the right way of saying it? Just it's not brutal at all. I just hate it.
It's too elegant for you and pretty.
That's the word. It's elegant and pretty, which is useless to me.
Yeah.
Everything Andy likes is like pretty and elegant and and I like orcs and I like ogres.
It's Goldar from Power Rangers. That's the best bit about it.
Yeah.
I think what I struggled with when we first saw it a bit was it, and maybe this is just because we do 54mm models, but it when you only see him like this and not with another miniature, you don't tend to see him next to the old one. It did feel a bit like this is just a 54mm Slanesh model. Like I haven't actually seen him in an army and sort of how he looks and how he fits. Does he, have any of you guys? Does he look like a demon prince? Does it make sense in that way?
I think that's from here.
That would be my only sort of criticism, not really a criticism, observation.
He's not that big though, he's like.
He's not.
He's not enormous, no.
I suppose the Chaos models are pretty big now, anyway, aren't they? The Warriors.
Yeah. He doesn't look like a different scale. Right. But yeah, he's just. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Power metal keyboard player.
I know. I feel like he would have been a magician in Vegas. The guy.
Yeah.
What they called the ones that had the white tigers.
Oh, the tigers. Oh God, what are they called?
One of the tigers maul one of them to death as well.
Yeah.
Didn't do it to death. He mauled him so that he couldn't like speak or walk properly.
Oh, well. Shame.
So 80% of the way there
as well.
Lolo looks like the main guy in Highlander. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's as someone's saying, James saying, it'd be seeing the Slanesh thing they got. I'd be very excited to see what happens with the Emperor's Children when they get, because they've been rumored for quite a while now, haven't they? As the next, like, I suppose now the World Eaters have come out, they are the next Chaos Monsters done, aren't they?
Siegfried and Roy.
Here we are.
Sigvald and Roy. Yeah.
Perfection. It must be, right? It must be, surely. I mean,
what ripped off of that?
Yeah, Warhammer's always like particularly Warhammer Fantasy has often like picked famous characters to rip on.
Yeah, I think it's Vega from Street Fighter. The fluff is
right. I used to play as Vega. Doesn't look anything like Vega.
It's the same color scheme and the exact same fluff with the vanity.
Interesting.
That's why Vega wears a mask, because he's so vain about his face. It's the same backstory and the color scheme as well.
Bit of you this color scheme, don't it, mate? Non-metallic metal and purple.
And a bit of turquoise. Just a smattering of turquoise. Right, what we giving him then? A glow up?
It's got to be a 9.
-5.
Yeah, I agree.
Mate,
I actually think he's a very, very good glow up. But as a modelling himself, I can take it or leave it. Objectively, I think it's great. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But that's always going to be the way, isn't it, with the old subjectivity? Right, we've still got a few more, haven't we, Matt? I'm trying to tick them off. What's that?
Oh,
okay,
right.
You obviously haven't.
Well,
right, that's fine then.
We'll get this one done quick. The old one was better. Next.
About 3 more.
Yeah.
How old do you reckon the old one is? This one surprised me.
2009.
2004.
Oh well, no, he's younger than both of you, I'm guessing. But not that. He's 2011. I got him as.
Oh, I was close. 2 years off.
The Green Ghost, old Snickers, Hefe Snickrot.
Don't like the new one.
Why?
The abs, the bat nose, the not having the mask down, and the mask down option isn't as cool as the other one, and not doing the shush finger. There you go.
I think that this might be the only time that I ever say this, but I agree with everything that Andy just said.
Oh, I wish we were together in person. Hug it out.
Yeah, the old one's better. I even like the fact that the old one's a little bit smaller. He's a bit sneakier. The mask is better. I love the fact he's got camo trousers, which I know you could just paint on, but the camo trousers are just iconic. And
well, it has got it on the new one, mate. It's just hidden one side.
Oh, right. Yeah. The shush is just...
Yeah, the shush is key. And I think the mask down, I think it's just those two things. Just that's the feeling you want from it. I think him almost being faceless, because he's all lenses, makes a real difference. And I really don't like the bat nose. Looks like a vampire.
So I think those are all very, very valid points. Seeing as this model is only less than 10 years. No, sorry. It's 12 years. It's 12 years between races, so not a huge amount of time. Do you think that influenced the decision to make him not like the old one? Has it been not long enough to do a homage? As in, it should just get a new, different take on it. But exactly what you've just said then, he sort of is. Like, the pose is basically the same, but without the cool finger thing.
They should have just optioned that finger. And I don't know if it is, but if they'd done an option where it's super faithful to the original, I mean, they kind of did with the mask, but if they just did the two hands, I'd have been like, fantastic, great job. And then if you have another version that's very different looking with just a hand swap, head swap, how brilliant would that be? But I think those two elements are so key to his different look from other orcs that it's lost, and he doesn't stand out to me as a particularly different orc in that way. And I kind of, and I love commandos. I think the old commando knob's probably the best orc mini. And I just think those couple little characteristics, it's a shame they're gone. But it's still a great mini. I just think that little shush finger made it.
I'm really looking forward to painting him. I absolutely am. I'm going to say, like, I know you said you like that. I think maybe I didn't explain myself when I said that clinical edge that sometimes there is on, or sterile edge that you can get with the digital sculpting. I like the crispness as in cleanness of the sculpt.
The quality, yeah.
But it was more the sterility, and I don't want to say that because that sounds really, really harsh. But actually, I think looking at these two, it's quite obvious, isn't it, the difference of what a 3D digital sculpt rather is and a traditional one. And I think the skin, the flesh in particular, rather feels very, very different.
I think it's better actually. I think the arm muscles and the hands look a lot better on the new one. I think that the qualities. If I was going to paint one, I wouldn't paint the old one because the new one would be a joy. I just, I feel bad actually. I don't want to rag on anything because I actually think it's great. But
Well,
I just think it's a shame.
I don't think we are ragging on it, but I think it's worth having a chat about like why we do like none don't like him. Say I can't wait to paint him. I think he's super cool.
I think
it misses the comedy element that orcs like. I don't really like comedy stuff because I'm boring. But I think the characterfulness in the orcs, losing the shush.
Well, look at what the recent commando box for Kill Team is incredible. I painted
it's
up.
Brilliant.
Amazing, and it's got just that right level of dark humor. I think for me anyway in it. Matt, I mean, you're a huge Greenskin fan. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I never really got on with the older ones, so the new one I quite like. I agree with, I don't really like the abs. I agree there. That kind of just looks a bit odd to me. And the nose as well. Now that you've pointed it out, I can't unsee it.
It's very bat, isn't it? But then I suppose the old one. I mean, you can't see the nose on the old one. They did have sort of piggy noses on the old one, but the ears on the old Snickrot are quite a lot more bat-like than a lot of orcs were.
Is he supposed to be like?
I was going to say, I wonder if there's a thing in his background
Possibly.
to do with that.
Because he's in the cave or something, hanging upside down.
I think for me, this one, if you look at like the old ones, like the Avatar and Mephiston and things like that, when they've done a new version of it, it's been such a long time. You can take the elements and just by updating the elements, you get an entire new model just by making it modern. Whereas because this isn't very old, you have to do something different with it, or it would quite literally be the identical version of it, but just ever so slightly maybe bigger or with very slight. With things like this, it almost feels like it'd be better if they just did something completely different with it, because it's been so small a time since the first one. The miniatures haven't changed, like orcs haven't changed all that much since the old Snickrot. If you use the old Snickrot in the new Commandos Kill Team box, it probably wouldn't look out of place. Whereas with the old ones, because so much has changed and all the miniatures have changed in every single way since then, when you do an update, it automatically, I think, looks a lot better and there's a much more defined difference between it. So it's easier to make it look more impressive and different and new and that kind of thing. But with this, because it's been such a short period of time, I think it's just loads harder.
I think though, it's weird because I've kind of feel like I've said a lot of negatives, but I would like to paint the new one and I wouldn't paint the old one.
But and this, I don't think you should feel bad. We've picked these 10 or so models because they're our favourite updates. But within that, we have favourites. And you can still be critical, right? There's no such thing as the perfect miniature.
Well,
except for Dairgard 2 coming up soon. But orcs are possibly genetically engineered, or just seeing if someone knew the batteries. No, nothing yet. I think no one's mentioned it. It's the skulls ruin it for me. Like I'll be clipping them off straight away.
The crotch skulls.
The crotch skulls. Like I see that they're a throwback, but I think they look bad.
Too big.
Yeah.
Primaris skulls.
So they'll be going. But other than that, like I'm really, really excited to paint him. I like his face. I think it's really cool. Yes, the mask is super cool and iconic, and it does seem odd that it's not the main focus. But I think considering what orcs are, making an orc's face that you recognise, if that makes sense, is quite cool. And I feel like Snickrot's got a unique face.
It's growing on me.
It's quite exciting. Zogrot was the same. Like I absolutely loved him. So that's why I'm excited to paint this guy. I haven't got it in me to paint an orc army, but I'm going to really enjoy painting the characters when they come out. But yeah, so glow up. Is this sort of 7s across the board? Are we saying?
It's got to be pretty low. Got to be a 4 or 5, hasn't it?
Wow.
I think if it had the shush, it would be higher because it's just missing that bit of comedic
character
sense.
Yeah.
I think the things that make it Snickrot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If the mask wasn't on his head, he's just a new commando, right? Yeah, you've got Mork's teeth or whatever they are, but yeah. I still think it's a super cool model, but yeah, I agree.
It's great. It is great, but
Hefe Snickrot, maybe not. Right, 2 more. Did you say, Matt, or 1 more? Is it now?
2 more. The one you added
more.
on at the end.
Okay, nice one. Oh, here's an interesting. So I was racking my brains for this and going back through everywhere I could on Google and various collectors' websites. Has there only ever been one Farsight model before?
There's another one before.
There is another, isn't there? Good, right.
Yeah.
That's
because I did that one and I never did this one.
And he was a plastic and metal kit, right?
Yeah, I had the metal bits, yeah.
Yeah. The one on the left here now was a plastic kit?
Fine cast.
Okay. Well, Commander Farsight.
Amazing.
A big character in the Tau lore. A quite significant change, I think, here. Another young un, though. In fact, youngest on the list, fitting for the Tau, I guess. Only 10 years between this, but a big change. Big.
What a change in technology, though. Like, that old design is fine, but the quality is not there because it was, fine cast. But
I think Tau and Eldar to a lesser extent, but Tau in particular have benefited, haven't they, from
CAD?
Yeah,
sharp.
They need a new hammerhead because the hammerhead design is actually beautiful, but then you build the kit and you just feels so old.
Yeah. I mean, I bet what's the big stealth suit thing called?
Ghost Kill.
Yeah, I really loved that model. I got it. I was very excited, and I did not enjoy building it simply
because of the halves with the lines.
Right, the halves on the thrusters and things like that. And I was just like, I ain't got time for this nonsense.
The hell.
He says, looking over at that bullshit Brutalis Dreadnought. But this is talking about Farsight. So, Andy, you're the resident Tau fan.
Yeah, I think when I first saw it, I was like, cool. And then the more I look at it, I like it more. I think I personally would like to do it in a different color scheme and tweak a couple bits, which is what I did in 2006. I ran Farsight, but they were a drab green because I don't like red at all for Tau. But I think he's super cool as a design and a character with the sword and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's really great, and I like how different it is from the other suits. Like, it really feels like his own special suit.
And it is, right, in the setting, I believe. It's completely bespoke.
Yep.
It's a really cool idea.
Yeah, he's been working on it for a really long time because he's a lot older than a lot of the other Tau. So please don't come for me, lore people, but as far as I'm aware, the lore on it is he broke away from the Tau sect. And in the Tau sect, most Tau warriors, like Firecast, only live about 40 years, even if they live to the end of their life. That's their natural lifespan. But since him and his group have moved away, they're all now like 80 to 100 years old, and no one can figure out why. But it's
because them ethereal weirdos aren't involved, right? It's super sinister. Like a few years ago, I was like, what are because the Tau came out when I was out on sabbatical, and I really wasn't sure like what the deal with them is. I thought, right, I need to read a bit on this and learn, educate myself a bit after losing to them time and time again on Dawn of War. It's like, who the fuck are these guys? And yeah, the ethereals are just super sinister. Like the whole Tau thing is very, very sinister. But
it's great background.
Yeah, I think it changed it though, because if I remember rightly, the original background for them was that they were genuinely the good guys. Like they were genuinely, we are the good guys. But it just that, and when it first came out, it was for the greater good, and that was genuinely what the plan was. But that just doesn't fit in the Warhammer universe. There are no good guys. That's the whole kind of point, really, I think. So I think then there was a switch at some point where they said, well, no, actually, let's look into how the ethereals are actually manipulating the Tau and brainwashing everybody, and that's why Farsight's such an interesting character within the story.
He's a hero. He's broken away. He's like a folklore hero for the Tau, right?
Yeah, he's like Robin Hood.
And do you know what? Looking at that model, he ostensibly, I know there aren't any good guys, but he looks like a hero, right? He looks like a good guy. He looks like a champion type thing, doesn't he? What do we think about the very, very on the nose, like cherry blossom
Love,
Samurai.
love.
Because they flirted with that whole aesthetic, haven't they?
Yeah,
I want to lean into it hard.
The Tau, for some reason, have all got samurai swords.
They very.
Oh, so a few of the. Sorry, Matt, go on.
I was going to say, like, you can really see there's a lot of Gundam coming into that now.
Well, why not?
I don't know.
Right?
It's just a mech suit, though, isn't it? Like, you're not going to be able to do a mech suit without that similarity to Gundam. And hell, yeah, because Gundam's cool, and I don't want to build one.
Someone's saying in the chat, a few people have said in the chat, it's something to do with his sword. His sword steals people's remaining lifespan and then gives it to him.
Yes.
He just needs to kill a few Marines to live forever.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love this, but I really love the original Tau battlesuit helmets. So I think I agree with Andy. I would love to.
I'm going to change that.
It's really odd, right? It seems a really bizarre, strong change.
Yeah, I think it's cool, but for me, it doesn't look quite Tau enough in there. So I wouldn't change anything else on the model, but I'd give him just a regular commander helmet.
And the shield, because it's got a design on it. It needs to be a flat shield.
Flat shield with a transfer on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the other angles of the head, but does he have like the offset round lens in there, and you just can't see it? Or...
I think it's just really narrow, and there's one singular lens in the middle. If you zoom in, you can just see a little bit.
Slit lens, isn't it? Like that.
Or is it like a Knight Rider one?
Yeah, I think so.
Hello, Michael.
Yeah.
I want it. Give it to me.
He is cool. Like he's cool. There's definitely it's really I've really enjoyed over the last, I don't know what it is, 8 years or so, 10 years of seeing the different Tau suits. Like I still really don't care for the Crisis suits at all. Like in the bin, please. But every other suit theirs I really, really like.
Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Well, I forget that I didn't use the Crisis suits in my
right?
eyes.
I was going to say, right?
You're sorry.
You used commander suits.
My Tau is 9.
Lovely, isn't it? You know, and the Ghost Keel is really cool, and even the big chonky thick lad. I think
Storm
cool,
Surge is amazing.
Yeah, and then
so sci-fi.
It's a really beautiful Forge World. One of the options for the Forge World for that sort of mid to large size suit, whatever it's called.
I've got that.
Just really, really exciting. I think Tau, and what we were saying earlier about 40k being space fantasy and all that. I think what that does is it allows something like the Tau to exist, right, and to look quite unique.
I really want to do them 2024.
I love how sci-fi it is, because I love the fact that for me 40k is sci-fi, and Tau are so sci-fi. It's great, and I love how they lean into it, and they're leaning more into it, because if you look at it, the new one does look more sci-fi than the old one. I think, in my opinion, it looks more modern sci-fi, and I agree.
It's way cooler.
Just cool.
Yeah.
It's just very, very cool.
All the Tau suits are so good.
10 out of 10 for the glow up.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for the sculpt.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's
9.5. Just don't add the lid.
Pretty spot on.
9.5, a 10.
I like the lid.
So he's winning. So let's close it out, because I said I've got a lot of the hashtag paint cultists to go through as well. So this is going to be a slightly longer episode.
Ditch this rubbish.
I hope don't mind. No, so rude. So unbelievably rude. So I said Games Workshop universes, and I accept Middle Earth obviously isn't, but the game, it certainly is. And I wanted to mention the Lord of the Rings range. This was one of my favourite models I built last year. It took like 30 minutes whilst chatting to someone on the phone, but it was lovely to build him, or the mounted one particularly. And I know, Andy, you're going to have what you're saying about it, but actually you experienced a similar thing with the Elrond model, right? Like it's
incredible,
beautiful, and again, he is a fantastic update of the old model.
It's the best I've built Games Workshop,
right? And I would agree. I think this was the best Games Workshop model I built.
Yeah,
it was just a joy, and the way you can take him off, and the Wag still looks right. All the reins are there, all the detail is there, and the way he slots on as a one piece, just easy to paint. This is what I'm talking about with that different in quality of sculpt and design.
It's insane.
You know, I compare this to that recent Space Marine Dreadnought I've been working on, and it feels like a different company. You know.
Well, it is.
Well, yeah.
Specialist games, right?
Yeah.
Different designers.
I guess so. But having said that, I've had some pieces I have been disappointed in that I've bought from Specialist Games in the last 12 months.
Well done.
So you know,
the bats.
Well, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think I wasn't in the hobby when Lord of the Rings. You know, I was. I said I had that gap, like a lot of people did, and Lord of the Rings came out in that gap. So I don't really have any of the nostalgia for those miniatures. But I love Tolkien. I love Lord of the Rings. I love his universe, and I've often wanted to get into it as a game, but the models have stopped me.
Yeah,
because they don't have the nostalgic value for me, and I don't believe they have the quality to come back to. Like, you know, I could pick up an old Azrael now and still really enjoy painting him, right? But I couldn't pick up this Gothmog and enjoy painting that. Whereas this new one is stunning and consequently cost me a lot of money on Forge World, basically getting all the other good-looking orc kits. But yeah, like it's if you just want to buy and paint and build a lovely little piece, then take a look at the releases that are coming out for Lord of the Rings. I would say, you know, and Elrond's, absolutely, the plastics, the plastics. The newer resins are good, and I guess they're often the same sculptors, but it's just better to work with plastic. So it's in most cases. So yeah, just check them out. They're worth it. It's not always in everyone's wheelhouse, is it? The Lord of the Rings stuff, because it sits sort of adjacent to the other settings and everything.
I'll paint one every year or two.
The sculpt in the face in the old one to the new one is insane.
Remarkable, right?
Yeah, and like the new plastic faces, like when you showed me the Elrond sculpt on that face, the face that is just like the face. It's fucking insane.
In fairness, there's nearly 20 years, I think, between these two. This was a tricky one to get the dates on.
2003.
So 19 years then. Yeah. I think as a glow up, this one is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the face alone is 10. That just shows
quality.
What a good place we're in, right? Yeah. I think Elrond's the best horse they've ever sculpted as well.
It's the sculpt as well, man. The way on Elrond, you know, you could just pick his torso off, you know, and it just, I
can't tell you how good it was. I can't praise that kit anymore. There's just no faults on it, really.
So, yeah. So that's it. That's your lot. So in the end, it was either this handsome fellow or Farsight.
Wow, that is unexpected.
Unexpected. With some quite strong losers in there, but we won't dwell on that because we do like them all. But anyway, hashtag Paint Cultists. So we're up to over 20,000 now. If you want to follow something on social media or the Discord channel, that might expose you to miniatures ranges, styles of painting, that sort of thing that don't normally follow. Give this hashtag a follow. There's remarkable things on there. Every episode I jump on, grab a bunch that I think look cool, and we just take a look at them on here. I've got quite a few, so we better get going.
There are 10.
Oh, jeebus. Yeah, amazing. Saw these.
Lovely,
amazing.
lovely. As someone who's currently beating their head against a wall trying to paint one of these things,
he smashed it.
I think this account's done a wonderful job. It feels lovely.
Perfect colour scheme, great little conversion work.
Really good hobbyist. Well worth following. And yeah,
interesting switch from Heresy, right?
Yeah, but brought that painting style, you know, that works for both well, you know, over.
That's
and
why they're so good.
Different canvas in it, and yeah, super
Very cool.
nice job. So, I'm not mad on chibi stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Turtle chibis.
I am mad on turtle. Yeah, TNT. And Raphael probably was. Yeah, probably was the coolest. So, yeah, it's just cute. Like, kind of wish I had to do one of these for work. If that makes sense. Like, if I had to paint.
I can say that you have to if you want. It's a lost opportunity, Henry. You must paint a turtle. Then you can do its turtle time in the thumb.
It's true. Be worth it for all them 14 views.
What about if we put Henry Cavill actually likes turtles more than Warhammer?
That might work. But yeah, super cool. This is, I say, it seems to have been a real thing. I think it was Big Child, was it, who did a big chibi type range? Is it chibi? Is that the right?
Marvel.
Is that right? The right?
Chibis, yeah.
Thing. But it just seems to have been really popular the last few years. And yeah, maybe a nice break from painting the Warhams. But yeah, super cute. Right, love the base too. Here you go. This one's for you, Rich. And also because this whole March from a Crag thing's going on, and I thought it'd be nice to stick a marine in.
Wow, nice.
The base is really cool, isn't it?
I love the blue. Yeah. Great marine, good work. March from a Crag.
That's it, isn't it? I just thought it was a very nice blue. For me, there's no consistent ultramarine blue, and I quite like that.
The gold's key as well.
You know, I quite like that people can have their own take on it. But I thought this was a lovely, rich, warm. You know, I know warm blue, but you know what I mean.
It's a fab job. If there's an army like that, it would look pang.
Oh, and I think there is, because there's a lot more photos on this account of
good on them.
Of the ultra machines. Right, let's keep going. These are all cool. I did want to spend a tiny bit longer on more, but screw it, let's go. Yeah,
that's cool.
Right, love the skin color and the beard color.
For the backyard,
just works so cool on an orc. And I love the blue, the slightly different blue on the lips.
Very cool.
Just really cool. Really, really cool.
I like the trousers and the Putaruga is.
Yeah, axe is pretty rad too.
That's a classy job.
Not overly happy about the dwarf head, but at least it's an orc doing it.
Making him taller, just helping him out.
But Joe, it's a great paint. I love the skin on the dwarf. I'm glad to follow this account. It's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So next. Oof. Oh, there was a reason I picked this. It wasn't just because it looked cool. I always try and read the little comment, you know, the description part as well. What the hell was it? Maybe it was something like their friends had bought them loads of Nurgle kits and they wanted to get cracking and they started with this guy. I can't remember. Anyway.
It's bloody good.
I just love it. Oh, that was it. It was Soper homage.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, obviously Dave nice. Soper, incredible painter, did a version in this style. This person's done this as a sort of homage to that. And it's lovely. It just feels very pastel-y. That makes sense.
The quill is so well done, isn't it?
Just very, very fantasy.
It's nice.
Big.
I don't like the model, but it's made it look good, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a challenging model, that wasn't it?
Yeah. At least it's not the other one, which we shall not name because it's the worst name in Warhammer.
Slippity beep boop. Right, next. This is fabulous little vignette, diorama, whatever you want to call it. It's just a bunch of mini marines getting out of a storm.
Raven,
yeah.
Flying Land Raider.
Lovely to see some old marines. Oldish.
We had a big convo about that this week, didn't we, Rick?
Yeah. Talking about
big old moan about Primaris.
We were talking about marines for about 2 hours.
It's
should have filmed it.
There's no getting away from it, is there? And I'm sure we will talk about it more.
They ruined my Marines.
Great account. Give it a follow. Love the engines on the Stormbird as well, the thrusters and stuff. Just really cool. It's got a lovely old school feel to it.
Yeah.
Which makes me smile. So I think there's a couple more.
Oh, that's cool.
Loved this because they were like, saw this rad bit of artwork for a film poster, so I copied it. I was like, great.
Love that.
Like, I'm not like mad on the sculpture or anything like that. Like, as a mini, it's not my cup of tea. That's neither here nor there, really. But the paint job and the inspiration for it, I just thought was super cool.
Yeah, really good at execution.
Wish they
Cool
did the
idea.
title though.
Watch this.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like the Blood Bowl diorama with the Spike magazine. Should have gone for the credits and everything.
But yeah, really nice. There's a ton of like busts and things people post using the tag. It's great because it's not typically on accounts I follow. Tend to paint a lot of busts, so
yeah.
And there's a lot out there, an awful lot out there. So yeah, give them a look. Cool. Couple more.
Yeah.
Here we are. I know it's only March, but this might be my favourite miniature of the year, or paint job of the year, rather.
I mean, owl's my favourite animal, so
I'm almost certain it's the same person that did the one that was my favourite paint job of last year.
Yeah.
I've recently been talking to various galleries about various things to do with miniatures painting, and some of them have pushed back, and this is the type of thing I would love to shove down their throats.
It's really sad, that actually, isn't it? It's really sad.
But just it's so very, very, very rarely do I want to own a miniature someone else has painted. Very rarely. Because for me, largely the joy is in doing the thing.
I agree.
I tend to hate everything once I've finished it, but I do enjoy doing it a lot of the time. But this, I would, just.
Would you like a nice print of it though?
Yeah.
I'd
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just nice. I would love to go and see this. Having seen this and that piece this person did that I really liked last time, the tiny little bust on the yellowish background. Those are a huge incentive for me to get to a show, because I would love to see this person's work. Like
they were at the expo,
right? Yeah. So
yeah, they were at.
And this I think is maybe finding that artist or that something that really excites you. I think is a great reason to go to a miniature show. Even if you're not interested in entering it necessarily, or you just think it's going to be a bunch of great painted minis, that's not necessarily it, right? That's not the be all and end all. It's a chance to go and see some legit, miniature art. And this is perfect. So, sorry, I won't hear anything else said about it. You all agree? 11 out of 10. Move on.
Agree.
Yeah.
And we missed Dogma again because we're a bit shit. Dogma, we will. I mean, we had a chat with 2A, didn't we, a little while back?
We covered Dogma. We just didn't do this one.
It's a wonderful idea. It produces amazing pieces, and this was one of them. If you're interested in it, go and check it out. But yeah, very talented group of people get involved in it, and it's just great. It's just great, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool.
Creepy AF.
Stuff of nightmares.
Reminds me of the Slayer sword skeleton from years ago. It's an ugly little skeleton.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like
the one with the banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, super creepy kind of Slender Man vibes or whatever it is. I don't know. It's, I mean, take the eyes off it stuff, and I'm there.
Yeah, I'm out.
And is that it, Matt?
Last one.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's rad.
super like messed up.
That's so cool.
Thing. Kind of got vampire vibes,
I like that.
Fernandez sculpt.
So that again.
Is it a Pedro Fernandez sculpt? It looks like him.
Right. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's like someone who does a lot of vampires has decided to have a go at a Warhammer Goblin.
I like it when people do that, when goblins aren't always comical or jovial, or they're actually mean. Like fairy tales where the fairies and elves are actually really fucking horrible.
That's
But
why I
it's
like the
also
new Rings of Power.
that genre crossover kind of thing as well. Do you know what I mean? There was one floating around this week where someone had taken the Lord of the Rings and cast them in Mad Max,
Right.
and it was all done digitally, and it looked incredible. Like, it looked absolutely incredible. And this kind of got that vibe for me of the, okay, let's take a Warhammer miniature, but do it in this much darker, Grimm's fairy tale type.
Yeah, because I really like that around that sort of thing, because that's where the original fairy tales came from. The original fairy tales, elves are horrible. That's why you put you nail a shoe above a horseshoe above your door, because they're allergic to iron and they're going to come and steal your children and eat them. Like, that's literally what elves did in the original fairy tales. This is very leans into that. So it's
have
cool.
you ever read the Brothers Grimm, some of the original stuff? It is dark, like Christ.
It's not Disney, is it?
No.
Nah, mate.
And a great source actually for this type of piece, right? For these one-off painting pieces.
It is a Pedro.
Love
as well,
the sculpt
Andy.
of the hood.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. You can tell it's a Pedro from the face. But yeah, the sculpting of the hood's amazing, how thin and deep
really
it is.
thin, right?
It's amazing. Makes it.
Yeah, super cool. So there we are. There's a tiny snapshot of the 20-odd thousand you've got on there. So if you've got any means, if you've got any subjects or accounts or anything like that you think we need to give some attention to, you can reach us on all the usual places. You've got a ton of free tutorials here on YouTube. You've got a bunch of proper legit masterclasses and personal projects going on Patreon. You've got the commission studio, you've got all sorts of things. But for this show, #PaintCultist, reach out to us on any of the other channels. And we've got quite a lot planned for the next 3 months. Event season is getting ready to kick off. Okay. What did you say it was? 7 days?
No!
Exciting times, and we will do our best to bring you coverage of all of it.
Show of the season.
There we are. And Andy's going to be over in the States, over at Adepticon.
Or am I?
So make sure you say hello if you see him. He loves it. Buy him a coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
He'll love that. He'll love that even more. But yes, chat, loads of you in there tonight. It's really nice. Sorry about apologies for that break for the month. We want to get back on track sort of fortnightly, and we are doing everything we can to get back to that, and we will as soon as we possibly can. But if you're watching this back, like, subscribe, all the usuals, really helps us out. Thanks, chaps. Lovely having you. Love to see you. Miss doing this. I'm always super pumped after we chat, but also knackered. So need to just watch these back and get pumped up. So yeah, thanks chaps, thanks chat, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.